Hi, and welcome to Michigan Matters. This has been a busy time on the heels of the recent election as we're already gearing up for what promises to be a red-hot 2026. We're also dealing with major changes tied to Washington that's been impacting lots of things here at home. So how are businesses and our communities faring across the state? We're going to talk with three leaders at the forefront to get their read and discuss what's ahead. Then Susie Siegel, President and CEO of Walsh College, stops by to discuss the role higher education plays in our region. It's a show about economic prospects and preparing young people for the future. Let's get started.
From CBS Detroit, this is Michigan Matters with Carol Kane. Michigan Matters is brought to you in part by Henry Ford Health.
And we're kicking things off today with the roundtable as we say hello to Bill Wild, President and CEO of the Michigan Independent Retailers Association. In the middle is Maureen Donohue Krauss, President and CEO of the Detroit Regional Partnership, and Chris Holman, Founder CEO of Michigan Business Network, who gets the award for making the longest trek in here today, all the way from Lansing. Great to see you guys.
Didn't even take the train.
Well, and I appreciate you coming in because I know you're getting set to head off to hunting with your family up north, and in fact, you're going from here literally...
Leaving, right? Actually, I'm Armani top half and Carhartt bottom half.
And you got, there you go. Well, let us know how it goes. I'm curious, does this cold weather help with hunting, or does it make it...
Actually, it's not bad. It's really not. The snow cover is good because then you can track,
right,
which is nice. But no, the cold weather, they'll move in the cold weather. Wind is usually the thing you don't want.
You're teaching me something I don't know.
Well, there you go. You'll have to come next year.
That's it. Well, I'll be there from the sidelines and support everybody on. And Bill, oh my gosh, 115 years, your organization is 115 years old, which is incredible. Congrats on that. How is if I were to say in a nutshell, how has the organization adjusted in the 115 years? What would be the main headline?
Well, we've certainly done a lot of growth. We started off with 10 butchers in the city of Detroit, and now we have thousands of retailers across all industries all across the state.
Wow. And Maureen, the Detroit Regional Partnership, I know, and how many members do you have, and how long ago did that organization start?
So we're almost 6 years old, so we're the new kid on the block. And we call them our investors who invest in wanting to improve the economy of the Detroit region. We're at about 70 right now. It's a split between private sector, philanthropic, and then our public sector partners.
And economic development is your thing, as they say.
That's what we do, and we try to stay in our lane. There's a lot of work that supports strong economic development, but we focus on marketing and growing this region.
And Chris, Michigan Business Network, how old is it now, and what's the...
Well, we're in our 13th year, and it seems like longer than that because we do an every 6-month survey.
Yeah.
In air, and it's been very active, and we've experienced nice steady growth, which is
well, and you have hundreds of members across the state here who participate, I don't know, in your studies. So let's talk a little bit about that with the massive changes coming out of Washington at lightning speed, tariffs, inflation, government shutdown, which thankfully finally ended, and you all deal with businesses at different levels here. How are they faring right now, Bill?
There's been a lot of shell shock out there. We're in the fourth quarter now. There's an old adage for small businesses that the first 3 quarters are to pay the bills, the fourth quarter is to make a profit. There's a lot of uneasiness right now. A lot of small business owners are wondering if they're going to be able to turn a profit this year.
And Maureen, what are you finding from your for your members who are part of this, who maybe are on a different point of view, because I think they're oftentimes bigger companies, entities, and they're doing advanced planning, which I don't know how you can advance plan in this environment.
It's hard to do, and about 60% of our work, Carol, are international firms, so that has an impact as well. What we find is that firms of all sizes have to do multiple scenario plans. If this, then this. And that takes a lot more time and resources with great uncertainty. And, at every level we preach companies of all sizes like certainty. How long is a permit going to take? How long is a site plan going to take? Are my taxes going to stay the same? And so the tariffs are causing great uncertainty, and I think causing companies to take longer at their expansion plans.
And Chris, I know you do your surveys I've mentioned, and I know you're in the process of doing your newest surveys. What's the number one top concern of businesses from what you're seeing?
Well, listen, it has been for the last 5 years is personnel. It's getting talent, it's retaining talent, it's keeping it. Inflation is a problem. For the first time ever, we have seen the word tariff pop up in the top 5 of things keeping business from growing.
Yeah, and Maureen, since you're dealing with international firms, they reach out, and when they're incoming, you deal with them, and we'll talk more about that in the next segment. Are there certain countries that are more receptive to wanting to come to Michigan right now?
Well, some of the Asian bloc, Korea and Japan, have been enthusiastic. I would say in Europe it's still standard. Germany is number 1. We're in the UK this week, and so we've had some good reception there as well. And there are others that have really slowed down, like Canada.
Well, that's a whole nother talk show. We could talk about that, but we'll leave that alone here. You know, we're going to take a break, continue the conversation, keep it right here. And welcome back to Michigan Matters. We're joined by Bill Wild, Maureen Donohue Krauss, and Chris Holman talking about business and other things. And Maureen, before we went to break, you were talking about Japan. And I know that the Japanese consulate, who has been very aggressively going around the state, you were at an event this past week with him, right?
Yep, just really it was an event to describe Japanese culture and some of the unique traits they have in flower arranging and the tea ceremonies, and it was really interesting and fun to look at a different side. It's not always about the business transaction, especially in Asia. It's really about relationship building and that understanding. And I would say the Consul General, who would be mad if I didn't say that he goes by Jimmy, he is very much wanting to integrate the business community there even more so here. And we have a long history of that.
He was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and we talked with him about Ohio and Michigan and so forth. But you also have done global stuff, too, with China in particular. You agree with that, particularly with the relationship building?
Listen, tea ceremony is a collegiate curriculum. I mean, it is a big deal there, and to do it properly. I remember sitting at a round table with someone, and the person over there serving the tea had a long spout.
Yeah.
And they shot it 10 feet into my cup, and it was all part of that training. You know?
Yeah,
it's
much more ceremonial than doing business here, right?
Right.
Right. Well, and I know that you have been involved too with businesses like Luxwall, which is a big company that's growing here and helping with them, right?
Yeah, they've been terrific because they really have exemplified the strengths that we have in this region. The talent from advanced manufacturing, engineering, R&D, those all attracted them here, and they're under construction with their 3rd facility now in the past couple of years in Detroit, but they're also in Ypsilanti Township and Litchfield Township.
Well, we need as many manufacturers as we can here. Bill, you are involved with MIRA, which gets involved with things that matter to your members, and I know one of the things we've been talking about before is Michigan's bottle return policy. There's been some efforts to overturn that, saying it's not necessary anymore. Where does that stand?
So currently there's no bills that are floating around to expand the bottle bill right now. So for our association, that's a good thing. But we recently participated with a group of stakeholders, and we partnered with the University of Michigan to take a deep dive into the current bottle bill, so that as we start to move forward with revisions to it or whatever, we'll actually have some good up-to-date data that we'll be able to work with.
And the other thing, too, that you had mentioned to me, which I think is cause for concern, particularly with young people, is candy that isn't sold in places like convenience stores, gas stations, that's infused with THC and made to look like candy for kids, and they're buying it.
Yeah, we heard reports a few weeks ago of candy showing up at retailers that was packaged, like you said, Carol, that looked just like some of the most popular candy products, but they were actually, there was hemp-derived THC in these products. We jumped right out in front of it and asked all of our retailers if they have this stuff to pull it. In the meantime, the state of Michigan actually has a package of bills to make this illegal.
Yeah, it seems like, I don't know why they took so long to get to Michigan, I guess, here. But as with small business right now, it's the engine of our community. We know this. Businesses, retailers, I mean, yes, there's big businesses, but small business is the engine of the economy here. What are you anticipating on the heels of now the budget shutdown? That's over with. Well, hopefully the airports, airlines all get back to business as usual here. looking forward as to the end of the fourth quarter and into 2026, what are you anticipating here for Michigan businesses?
We are in the field next week with our latest MFBI, but I can tell you anecdotally what I'm seeing, and that is the uncertainty, which you talked about, is keeping businesses from planning.
Yeah.
So it's more of a let's batten down the hatches and see what the new reality is on Wednesday. And, you know, not a lot of progress, and they're not enthused about their future profits.
Oh, boy. How about your members?
You know, I think you summed it up perfectly. There's a lot of anxiety out there, and I think all small business owners have an idea in their back of their mind to do some expansion.
Yeah.
But right now, that's on hold. This fourth quarter, I think a lot of our retailers are depending on those holiday sales. This year with the tariffs, a lot of the consumers may not see those deep discounts that they're used to at this time of the year.
Well, and as we're sitting here too, I mean, obviously we're coming into the holiday season, and there's so many other things that we could be talking about here. But I know I wanted to just mention real quickly here. I know you guys do a huge turkey giveaway for people in need, veterans, women at women's shelters, and other things. You do it with the United Community Family Services, Chaldean American Ladies of Charity, and the Capuchin Soup Kitchen. And when do you do that?
So that's coming up next week. We raise money all throughout the year from our retailers and their customers. And for over 50 years now, we've been delivering thousands of turkeys to organizations. This year, we're working with the ones that you mentioned. They're great organizations. Yeah. And we'll be out there next week delivering turkeys to families that needed a little extra help this year.
Well, and yeah, really, lots of people need more help than ever here. We've had foundations on here recently.
Food banks are overrun right now.
Yeah, well, all right, that's a whole nother show. We'll talk about that later. Listen, I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Good luck to you in your hunting.
Thank you.
If I don't see you before, have a happy holidays.
Thank you.
You too.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
All righty, and keep it right here. We're back with more Michigan Matters right after this. Welcome back to Michigan Matters. We're now talking with Susie Siegel, who's president and CEO of Walsh College, who's here to talk about education and many other things. And it's so great to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Carol. I'm so happy to be here.
So Walsh College started, it has a connection to Thomas Edison, right?
Yes, it does.
It goes way back. So what's the quick Jenna storyline?
Sure. So 1922, our founder, Mervyn Walsh, started Walsh Institute, and he was the accountant for Thomas Edison. So he worked with the Thomas Edison Light Company and also specifically with the Motion Picture Company, because Thomas Edison also started that, and founded Walsh Institute, which then became Walsh College as it is today.
And today, okay, it was in Detroit originally, right?
Yeah, started at the 6th floor of the Detroit Opera House. And the very first class had 6 women in there at a time when it wasn't very popular to educate women.
Progressive.
Yes.
Yes, good thing to be. And so today, Walsh College is in Troy. And when was that campus opened? How many students? How many degrees? What's the footprint?
Sure. So in the 1970s, the state of Michigan changed the regulation. To sit for the CPA exam, you needed a college degree. So Mervyn Walsh, the visionary he was, didn't want to compete with community colleges. He wanted to partner with them. So Walsh Institute, that was teaching the PACE accounting method, became Walsh College, and it does upper division, so the junior second year and senior year, as well as graduate programs, and now doctoral.
And so how many students are at Walsh today?
Yeah, so our census showed us 1,283 students. About 1,000 of those are at our Troy campus, and about 260 of those are learning with us through our Walsh College UAE campus in the United Arab Emirates, as well as our partnership in India with Great Learning.
So you have a lot of global component to all of this, too.
We do, yes.
And the reason for that?
Well, we wanted to make sure that our mission is global, right? And we have always had students that were international, and now what we're seeing is a greater interest in our technology programs and those degrees, specifically artificial intelligence and machine learning. And we want to make sure everybody knows learning is accessible anywhere in the world.
So you've doubled down, you're all in on AI with the undergrad, and you have a PhD program too, right?
Yes.
And so how do you see that fitting into the rubric of what's taking place here? How are you preparing young folks and maybe middle-aged folks who are in these programs for these new jobs?
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that. So we offer AI at the undergrad level, bachelor's, at the master's level, and at the PhD level. And we've seen the news. We've seen the layoffs happening in big corporations. And what we're hearing are talent is being, kind of displaced by AI. So we want to help educate and empower the professionals to use the AI tools effectively so that they can succeed in their career. So what we're seeing is a greater interest in learning how to use the tools to advance in the business world.
You also provide real-world experience for students, too. How are you working with companies in the community here?
Yes, so we have incredible corporate partners. I mean, obviously, Imagine Entertainment is one of them. They're located above our second floor of our campus, and we've had a great educational partnership with them. The Troy Chamber of Commerce is also located on our campus, and so we have a preferred educational partnership with them where there's incentive pricing if you're a chamber member. We also have a range of accounting firms and tax firms, financial companies that work with us that hire our students, and we have a very robust career department. So we really do have a strong word of mouth and corporate partner engagement model.
Paul Glantz, who started Imagine Entertainment, as mentioned, he moved his offices to your campus. He recently is in the process of selling his company to a Belgium company. Are they going to, and I haven't had a chance to talk with him, are they keeping their facility there and everything?
Yes, I was very happy to hear. They love the location. They love the facility and the campus. They're going to keep the Imagine brand, which is wonderful because that really has been his heart and soul and legacy. And Paul is an alum. He earned a Master of Science in Tax from Walsh, and he's one of our greatest supporters and champions of our students. In fact, just last night at the MICPA dinner, he was honored at the Chair's Service Award, and he helped us sponsor a table for our students so that they could attend and connect with the firm. So we're very grateful to Paul.
So you're also, is he teaching classes or has he been teaching classes?
He's so busy, right, with running Imagine.
Running Imagine, all the changes there.
Yeah, I know. We're very much hoping that he'll join us as far as teaching some courses in the Center for Innovation Entrepreneurship, serving as an entrepreneur in residence, so to speak, because he has so much wisdom that he can impart. And he always talks to our students, helps them and mentors them.
How important, there's been a lot of conversation about the need to have a college degree. Some people think maybe you don't necessarily need that anymore, the costs associated with, et cetera. How do you see the value of a college degree?
Yeah, well, let's look at the data. So there was just a study released, I believe it was U.S. News and World Report, where they did this study and they looked at earning potential for degrees. Now, it is nice because they focused on the degrees that have the highest ROI. In business and technology, what Walsh College offers have a high ROI. So what you are seeing are higher starting salaries and greater promotability from there. So as much as that question has been circulating, I think you have to ask yourself what type of college degree and how affordable is it? And at Walsh, because we don't have a large infrastructure, we don't have a sports team, we don't have dorms, we're able to offer a very lean professional education model that has high ROI. So if the degree can be done with an affordable center, like an affordable model, and if you can finish, you have to finish what you start, and if you can finish in an area that has high market value like business and technology, it's a very strong investment.
And we're going to put a bow tie on this for the moment, take a quick break. We'll be back with more Michigan Matters in our conversation after this. Welcome back to Michigan Matters. We're talking with Susie Siegel, President and CEO of Walsh College, about the Troy-based campus and the amazing history that you folks have. I was just leafing through this book here about the company, the school, and it's amazing the rich heritage that there is here. You're, I think, the 9th president?
Yes, I am.
Which is amazing. In that many years, you're only the 9th president. You're also an attorney. Did you aspire to be a university president?
Well, you think, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
But I always loved education. I believe there are conversations that can happen in a college and university environment that can't happen anywhere else. And education is the great equalizer. It provides the access and opportunity. So when the opportunity presented itself, I was so happy to take it.
And when were you appointed?
2022, although I came to Walsh in September of 2020, right during COVID.
I was going to say you were there during the pandemic.
Yes.
Speaking of that, well, that's a good conduit to the next question here. It has to do with the fact that you have a lot of hybrid classes and online classes. How much of that was tied to the pandemic?
Yeah, good question. So even before the pandemic, Walsh was about 50% online. Because they met professional learners where they were at, they offered them online courses as well as on-ground components. So students might come one night a week. Now, after the pandemic, and this is a huge credit to the college and the faculty, they were able to pivot and go online very seamlessly and very quickly because the infrastructure was built. So now, post-COVID, we're seeing about 75 to 80% of the students prefer an online modality. That can be synchronous, right, like Zoom synchronous, or it can be async. But we also offer the option to come in class and sit in a campus room, and we have hybrid options as well. So you can be there with the faculty member, you can be on Zoom, it can flex by your schedule.
Some classes, it would seem to me like a lab. You would want to be in a lab actually doing work type stuff here. Are most of your classes, it's about 50% are
Well, it's a good question. So yes, for the labs, especially in technology, you'll see more students come to campus and you'll see more hands-on. But because our population is global and across the country, our labs are able to be delivered online. So like our Bloomberg terminals that run the Bloomberg and S&P software in our finance lab, you can access that anywhere in the world.
Okay. So do your students, you're coming from your community colleges, you get a pool, that's where your students are coming
For
from?
our undergrad, yes. They come
Okay.
from a community college because we do the upper 2 years and we take them, once they finish the associate's degree, they can begin an early path with us. But that's why we're such a great partner for community colleges. We work with them.
You are a private college, and the money issue is probably not the same as some of the public institutions here. How are you financed, and how are things right now as far as that?
Sure. So student tuition dollars are the primary financial driver. We also offer Title IV financial aid, so we do offer financial aid for students. It's a little different than at the publics, and we have incredible scholarships through the generosity of our donors and our external partners and our corporate sponsors. So we try to have that model be as affordable for students as we can, and we run a very sound and efficient business model because that's good stewardship of our tuition resources and our donor dollars.
Your thoughts about how higher education is funded at Michigan? I've had other university presidents on, and it seems like every year there's a battle, how much we're going to get out of the budget this time, and it's tough. Your thoughts about how higher ed is the model here?
Yeah, so for state colleges and state schools, and I've got some wonderful colleagues and partners there, it is a different model, and they have gone through a lot of challenges and changes adjusting to those. So when you build your infrastructure and your personnel and your operations around external funding, and that shifts, you're vulnerable. So in a private higher education sector, we're not as vulnerable to state dollars because we don't get the same level of aid, but we do have to make sure that we're providing value, and that's why Walsh is so great, is we're providing market-driven degrees, and students are getting jobs and they're advancing in their careers. Over 97% of the students that we have are working. Now, a lot of them come to us with jobs, so that is a nice benefit, but the reason is we have to deliver market-aligned programs because of that tuition model that we have.
What about students who should pursue advanced degrees? We talked about undergrad degrees, but the conversation now, getting a master's or getting a PhD, how important is that today?
Well, earning potential does go up. People do talk about that. It depends on the field you're going to go into, and it depends on the PhD. I think a PhD in history is fabulous, but that might be limited in the job market of what you can do. A PhD in AI and artificial intelligence, machine learning, a doctorate in business administration. Forbes ranked our DBA #1 in 2024. Oh. Those are much more market-driven, so you're going to see a higher ROI. Coaching, consulting. You can be an adjunct professor. You can be teaching. You can be writing. You can be publishing. A lot of our DBA students are at top Fortune 500 companies, and they're looking at their next iteration of life. So the earning potential is there, and you want to make sure you're making a smart investment, like a Walsh College doctorate.
How do you decide when to add a new degree or new classes, particularly when it comes to technology, which is like lightning speed? It's changing. What you're learning today is moot in 6 months. There's a whole new this and that going on. How do you keep up with that?
Sure. So that's a great partnership between our academic department and our academic dean, Dr. Dave Skippers, and also our enrollment team to say, okay, what are we seeing in the marketplace? What degree programs are viable? And what fits our mission, right? Not everything is going to fit our mission and be, marketable, but with AI ML, that was really a very obvious choice. We saw that happening in the market, and I give all credit to our chief academic officer, Dr. Skippers, because he got ahead of that trend and developed it at the undergrad, the master's level, and the PhD level.
What do you say? Some people think the AI bubble is going to burst sometime soon. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you look at the indicators, the amount of money being invested in Michigan, billions of dollars, especially in infrastructure and what's happening in companies. So I'm not certain. I think it's going to be reshaping the way the workforce is done. I think just like the computer and the phone, we're not going to get rid of it. It's just how do we use these tools to be effective?
Much more to say. We're out of time. I want to thank you so much for being here. Great conversation. Have you back. We'll talk more about it.
Sounds wonderful.
All right. Appreciate that. And thanks to you at home for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we will see you next Sunday for a little bit more Michigan Matters.